This is a production of PBS Charlotte.
The following episode of Charlotte Cooks is brought to you by Central Piedmont Community College and viewers like you. Thank you.
Coming up on the next episode of Charlotte Cooks, we're making some apple dumplings. Welcome to this episode of Charlotte Cooks. I'm Chef Pamela Roberts, and I am so glad you're joining me in my kitchen today. We're going to be making some apple dumplings from scratch. We're going to be making a nice little pie dough. We're going to hollow out some apples, and we're going to make a lovely little raisin cinnamon stuffing to go inside. Then we're going to wrap them in pastry, we're going to bake them, and then we're going to eat these beautiful, lovely, they're like little mini apple pies, but they're made with whole apples. So first thing we're going to do is make the dough, because the dough needs to actually rest before we can use it. So for our dough, we're going to use a food processor, and a food processor is going to be very convenient for us because it's just going to go very quickly. So first of all, we're going to start with the flour. When you're doing your food processor though, the one thing you want to make sure you put in first is your blade. You don't want to put this in after you put your ingredients in because you're going to have to take everything out. All right, so we're going to put our flour in. We're just going to drop it right into the bowl. This is just like a basic pie dough. So for a basic pie dough, we're going to use flour. We're going to use a little bit of salt. We're going to use a little bit of sugar because we're making a sweet dessert with this. Now, if we weren't making a sweet dessert, we could leave the sugar out. You could make just a very neutral pie dough without sugar at all, but I'm going to make it a little sweet by adding sugar. And then I'm going to add my fat. Now my fat, I'm just using pure butter for this because I really like pure butter in my pastry, and I've got it cubed up. This is about 12 ounces of butter, and I'm going to put it in here, and now I'm going to process this so that it's just going to come together, and it's going to look kind of like coarse cornmeal. It's going to have some large chunks of butter in it. We don't want it completely smooth, and that's one of the big mistakes that we can make when we make pie dough, is to make it, process it too much so it's completely smooth. If we leave the chunks of butter in there so they're still visible, the pastry is going to be flaky, all right? So now I'm going to process it. I'm just going to pulse it to bring it together at first. Okay, now this is the texture that I want. It's just a little coarse. It's not smooth. Just like this, okay? So now I'm going to put the lid back on. I'm going to add my water. And now this water needs to be cold. If your water, if like doing this in the summertime and your water comes out of your faucet and it's a little bit on the warm side, put some ice in it and make sure that your water is very cold. The reason we want to have cold water is so that the water doesn't melt the butter. The butter stays solid, okay? And that's the whole reason for doing this. So now instead of pulsing, I'm going to turn my machine on and slowly add the water. Now what's going to happen inside of here is all of this is going to turn into a ball, and that's what I want. As soon as that ball forms and starts whoop, going around inside of there, we're going to stop. All right, so here we go. I may not need all the water. If I do, that's great. But if I don't, and there's my ball right there. So now what I'm going to do with this dough, remember the dough has to rest. And what does that mean? Well, we've just worked the flour and the fat in here a lot. And so what happens when we start adding water and things like that to flour is we develop something called gluten. The gluten is kind of like what's in bread that makes the bread rise. It keeps the gas from escaping. What we're doing here in the pie dough is we do not want to develop that elasticity. We want to keep it so the dough is going to be flaky. So no gluten development. That's why as soon as it comes together, we're stopping. We're not going to knead it. We're not going to process it. And even when we roll it out, we're going to be careful about how we roll it out. So, yep, my hands are going to get gooey. We've got this beautiful piece of pie dough. So now we have to divide this into 3 pieces, and we're going to take it and wrap it up into cellophane, and we're going to put it in the cooler, and it's going to get nice and cold before we roll it out. So to wrap your dough in cellophane, you just take a little disc, little ball, we divided it into thirds, and just wrap it up. And I like to flatten it out a little bit. And the reason I flatten it out is just so it cools off faster. If you're going to put it in overnight, a little ball is just fine. But you don't want to work the dough a whole lot. Remember, you're just trying to let it rest. So today when we're doing our apple dumplings, there's, if you go to the market, there's a lot of apples that you can choose from. And sometimes when you look at the apples, it's very easy to get really confused as to what apple do you choose for what application. And so a couple things you need to remember. Granny Smith's Red Delicious apples, these beautiful red apples, these apples will fall apart on you when they cook. And it is just the nature of the apple. About the only apples that hold their shape when they cook are Granny Smith's and Honeycrisp apples. And we're going to use Honeycrisp today because number one, they don't turn brown as fast as other apples. And number two, I really like the flavor of a Honeycrisp. They're really, really delicious. And so if you wanted to make these out of a Red Delicious apple, you could, but you're going to have to remember your apple is going to get really mealy. These are really good for applesauce where they just fall apart completely, and they're really good for eating too. But we're not going to eat these today. We're going to bake them. So we want something that is going to hold its shape. I don't want to use a Granny Smith because a Granny Smith is very tart. And they're really good for pies. I like to use a combination of a sweet apple and the Granny Smith apple when I'm making a pie, so you got that sweet tart going on. But we're going to wrap these up in pastry and serve the whole apple to somebody, and so that's going to be too much tartness, I think, for this dessert. So what I'm going to choose for this is the Honeycrisp apple. And in order to get our apples ready for our pastry, we have two things we have to do. We're going to peel them, we're going to hollow them out, and then we're going to stuff them with a stuffing. And this stuffing, I'm going to show you really quickly how to put this together. It is just a combination of raisins and brown sugar, lemon zest, and butter. And if you wanted to add some nuts in like pecans or almonds or pistachios, you could. But you got to remember, the little hole we're going to make on the bottom of the apple is not that big. And so you have to make sure if you're putting the nuts in there that you chop them up a little bit so that they're not going to be the only thing in the center of your apple. We're going to need 4 tablespoons of butter. Now your butter needs to be soft, and if your butter has a tendency to get warm, you don't want it melted. You just want it soft. Just take it and mash it around in a bowl with a fork, and that'll soften it up. We're going to take some lemon zest. I'm going to use a little bit of lemon zest in here because that adds a really nice bright flavor. We're going to add a little bit of brown sugar. You can use light brown sugar, dark brown sugar, whatever your preference is, it doesn't really matter. We're going to mash this together. Now the next thing we're going to add, we're going to put the raisins in there. So we're just going to take it and just dump it right in the bowl. We're going to add some cinnamon, and you're going to just simply stir all this together until it looks like this when it's done. Just a nice homogeneous mix. The only lumps in here are going to be your raisins or your nuts if you put in there. So next we're going to get our apples prepared. Now you want to find tiny apples. You don't want to go find great big apples for this. If you want to use great big apples, you're going to have to cut big pastry circles, and it's okay. It depends on what you want. I find for a personal individual serving, the smaller apples are better. So when you go to the store to look for them, you probably have to search for the smaller apples. So we're going to peel it. So all we're going to do with this, now remember, I told you that the Honeycrisp apples are really great and that they don't turn brown on you quite as bad as some of the other old-fashioned apples. Red Delicious, Granny Smith's will start turning brown within a couple of minutes of being exposed and peeled, and that's just an oxidation. That's just what the apples do. If you're using those and you don't want them to turn brown on you, then all you're going to have to do is squeeze a little bit of lemon juice over it. There's an old wives' tale. I don't know if you ever heard this before. But the old wives' tale about peeling an apple, totally not going to have this happen for me because I've got so many bits and pieces here that I'm going to try another one. If you could peel the apple in one piece and you throw the peel over your shoulder, it lands in the initial of the person you were supposed to marry. I don't think it's going to work for me. But nonetheless, the trick is getting the apple peel off in one piece. So I'm going to try here. My grandmother used to do these beautiful apple dumplings. I used to love it when she did it. Did it break? I think it just broke, so no hope for me, right? So anyway, I used to love helping her do the apples. We used to get bowls and bowls and bowls of them. There were 18 kids in her family. It was a yours, mine, and our family, so there was always a lot of dumplings to make when we did it. And it was a big family affair, and it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. I'm only going to do 2 apples here, because I don't want to take up all your time having you watch me peel apples. But nonetheless, it's always a good chance to sit and catch up with your friends, your kids, or whoever else is helping you. So the next thing we're going to do is core them. Well, we're going to core them from the bottom because we kind of like, especially if you get an apple that has a nice long stem, you can use that as part of your decoration. We're going to use a small melon baller. We got big ones, we got small ones. You want to find something relatively small. If you don't have a melon baller, you know what really works really well is that little bitty quarter teaspoon that's on your measuring spoon. Okay? You're going to go from the bottom and you're going to scoop. And we're just going to scoop this whole entire core out. Now what you're looking for are all of the seeds. Now try not to move to the side. You want to just go all the way. You don't want to take the stem out. So you're going to go all the way up to where the stem area is. And see, in there you can see some of the seeds. And that's what you want to get out. Okay? You see that beautiful little star shape? It's kind of neat when you cut the apples this way. You get that pretty star shape in the center. And you just want to get all those seeds out. So once you see all those seeds are out, you're going to be almost at the very, very top of the apple. Now that's where you got to be careful not to go all the way through and take your stem out. Before I put the filling in, let me go ahead and do another one of these for you so you can see the whole procedure again. Take your melon baller, and the melon baller is good because it's got a nice sharp edge on it. Just get in there, twist it out. Now you're going to think, oh, there's no seeds, but the seeds are usually there towards the top. Especially on the Honeycrisp. On some of the older apples, the seeds will be throughout the core. And then when you get that little clump of seeds out, it's nice and clear on the inside. Now we're ready to put the filling in. You can use your hands, you can use a spoon if you don't like getting your hands dirty. But I like using a spoon so you don't have to get your fingers in there. Okay, and just take it and press it in there until the little cavity is full. Take another little bit. That's a lot there, but we're going to take out what we don't need. Stuff it in there where we can really get nice filling and raisins, and because remember your butter's going to melt, so we want to get that raisin in there so we get some texture in the middle. And now we're going to roll out our dough. I'm going to show you some fun things to how to decorate these. Instead of just wrapping them up and making plain Janes, we're going to make them a little bit fancier. So next I'm going to go get my dough out of the refrigerator and I'm going to be wrapping my apple. So my dough is nice and chilled, and now I'm going to roll it out, and I want to get a nice thin sheet of dough because I'm going to double it up a couple times when I put my decorations on there. For my decorations, I'm going to use some random cutters that I have. I'm going to need a big circle cutter because number one, a circle cutter, you can use anything for your circle cutter. This is a lid to something that I had back in the kitchen because I didn't have a cutter that was actually big enough circle. But you want to make sure when you put your apple in the center of it, you're going to have about 1 inch of room all the way around it. That's the size that we need. That's why I chose this thing to use. I'm going to show you how we're going to roll this out. You're going to take a little bit of flour and sprinkle your board. You can use a lot of flour, a little flour. I don't like using a lot of flour on my board, and that's because I don't want my dough to get too dry. I want it to be just perfect. Undo your plastic wrap, and we are going to take our dough, and we're going to take our dough and lay it right down there on the flour. Now, right away, you can see some of the butter that is still in the flour that hasn't been completely mushed out, and that's good. That means that's going to be flaky, but it also means it has a tendency to be a little sticky there. So make sure you put a little bit of flour on that side and a little bit of flour on this side before we start rolling them out. So we're going to roll it, and we're going to turn it, and we're going to roll it some more. If you want to get rectangles, circles, the trick to this is picking your dough up and not just standing here and doing this one area. You got to do your dough in both directions, in diagonals, back and forth. If you don't have room to actually get your dough out into a circle, well, then you could do a rectangle. We're just going to be cutting some shapes out of this. How thin do you want your dough to be? We want our dough to be probably about 1/8 of an inch. And we're going to spread it out over our cutting board. And if any of these pieces start getting sticky, guys, just get a little flour and dust them up. You can see the butterflecks in here. Sometimes those butterflecks will come to the surface, and then your flour will help keep those from getting really sticky and making your dough just stick to your cutting board and stick to your rolling pin. So I've got this rolled out now about thin enough that I'm going to cut my pieces out of it. This is really nice. Okay, so take my piece, put it to the edge, cut a couple circles out. And you know, the nice thing about doing this dough, as long as you don't handle it too much, any scraps you can take out and you can roll them out. And my father taught me this actually. He said, don't throw out the pie dough. When you have extra scraps, go ahead and roll them out, spread it with a little bit of butter, a little bit of cinnamon, and roll them up, put them in the oven and cook them. I just love that stuff. I cannot tell you how much I love that. Every time I make it, I think of my daddy. Make sure that it all comes up nice. Okay, I'm going to take my apple, put it in bottom side down on both pieces. If your dough stuck a little bit like this, you see that that's not really perfect there. That's not going to look nice and smooth. Am I going to worry about it? No. Am I going to make another one? No. Am I going to use it? Of course. I'll stick apple right in the middle. And the reason I'm not going to worry about it is because now nobody knows it's stuck. It's all covered up by the apple. I'm going to take this and do the same thing. Now y'all are at home and you're going to say, well, look at, she's got all that apple sticking out of the top, right? What's going to happen there? But we're going to take some of these cutters. This is what we're going to use the cutters for. I like using these. These are like little plunger cutters. You could find these in craft stores. They're used for fondant icing and things. So you got to put this down. The trick is, if you just push it down once, you're not going to get a cut out of it. So watch this. Got to bang on it a little bit. And then it comes out, and then you can just plunger it out, and now you've got a nice little leaf shape. And this is what we're going to cover the tops of these with. See, look, I'm going to take these little things, I'm going to put them all over here. And so you can cut out some more, but remember, if you're using the plungers, got to give it a little attack. So it gets up into the plunger, and it actually puts the pattern onto your dough. Isn't that cute? I think it's just adorable. I'm going to keep on going. And you can use different sizes. This is the biggest one, I think, that I have in this little kit. So I might want to grab a little one or a medium-sized one. Pick it up, and sorry for the pounding, but it's really what it takes to get these to come out. And so I've already cut out a whole bunch of them over here. So you could actually cut your shapes out. You can use any shape you want. That's the beauty of this. If you wanted to use hearts, you can use flowers. I'm using these leaves because I think it's going to be a nice addition, especially when we come into fall. Just put them on there and press them on. And then the next thing we're going to do is take an egg wash and egg wash everything. And the egg wash is going to do two things. It's going to make sure that all of these beautiful little leafy things are going to stick and they're going to stay on, and it's going to give it a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful sheen when we're done. Okay? Grab another one of these bigger ones here. There we go. Come on out. This is why your dough needs to be really cold too, guys, because if your dough is cold, it handles better. I should plunge it out instead of just trying to pick it out. There we go. Lay it on there. Does this have to be perfect? Absolutely not. Does not need to be perfect, because when it's all baked off, it's going to be beautiful. Okay, so now next thing I'm going to do, an egg wash. Here in my egg wash, 1 whole egg and 2 tablespoons of water. You just want it to have enough water to make the egg liquid. And so we're going to brush this all over with the egg wash. And you don't want to get it totally saturated, you just want to brush it so it's going to have a nice gloss to it when it's finished. And then you also want to make sure, you can go down and you can press things in, make sure everything's going to stick. And if you see any places you want to add another little leaf or something, add it. Stick it on there. Just make sure you give them a little egg wash too. Okay? What we're going to do now is we're going to sprinkle a little bit of granulated sugar over them, and we are going to have that beautiful result of the golden brown pastry that's going to be pretty and glossy because it has the egg wash on it, and then the sugar on the top of it is going to give it a nice golden brown sugary crunch, which is just going to be just delightful. You want to sprinkle the sugar on your apples before they hit the sheet pan. What's going to happen is the sugar will start burning on the sheet pan, and you'll be thinking your apples are burning before they're actually cooked, and they won't be. So just a little sprinkle Put them on the sheet pan, parchment lined so they come off. Just take this and sprinkle this. Now this could even be cinnamon sugar if you wanted. Be really nice with cinnamon sugar, but I do have a tendency to think that cinnamon can burn, so just be very careful with that. So now we're going to take these and we're going to put them in the oven. The oven is set at 350 degrees. If you find it's cooking too slow, we want to raise the temperature to 400, but they usually take about an hour to cook. Whoa, an hour, really? And that's because we've got the raw apple and we got pie dough. Pie dough has a tendency to take a while to cook unless you've got nothing on it. So about an hour, but keep your eye on them. You want them to be golden brown when they're done. The apples will be cooked, and you can tell by taking a little knife and putting a little tease inside of there. It's going to be delicious. So while our apples are in the oven, we can make a little sauce. And this isn't going to be a thick sauce. It's just a little drizzle of a sauce to add some nice apple flavor to our plate. And all you need for that is some frozen apple juice concentrate. You're not going to dilute it. This is just the frozen apple juice concentrate that's thawed out. We're going to go ahead and turn it on. And we just want this to be slightly warm. And we're going to add a cinnamon stick and a couple of whole cloves. And this is just to give, not too many cloves, just 2 is all we really need, because cloves are really quite powerful. And we're just going to let this come to a simmer, and then we're going to cool it down. And all this is going to do is put some cinnamon and clove flavor into this apple juice concentrate, which gives it a beautiful flavor. And so that's what we're going to use for our sauce. Ooh, our apples look like they are ready. So I'm going to get them out of the oven. Oh, look at these babies. Aren't they delightful? And see, look at, I think they're gorgeous. Aren't they pretty? I mean, I just think they're really pretty. And so now we're going to plate. I'm going to show you how to plate this up. We're going to use a couple plates. Now, because we have a sauce on here, we want to go ahead and make sure your plate has a lip. A lot of times right now, one of the trends is to use really flat plates. Well, if you had a really flat plate and this liquid sauce on there, what's going to happen? It's going to go all over the side. What we're going to do to serve our apples is we're going to use a spatula. We're going to take a spatula and we're going to carefully put the apples on the plate. I'm going to use this one too. Ah, this one's prettier. Such a thing as a pretty apple, right? I'm going to use a little bit of whipped cream. Got some whipped cream in a pastry bag. Got a couple of strawberries here just to give us some brightness on the plate. So in my whipped cream, I've got it in a pastry bag. Now look at this, guys. This looks kind of silly, doesn't it? But this is the way you can put things into a pastry bag without having it all leak out of the tip. And then when you're ready, you just take it, twist it. Look at that. Isn't that kind of neat? And there it is. It's going to be ready to come out. Now, using a pastry bag, guys, this is not your squeeze hand. This is your guide hand. And a lot of times I see people taking the pastry bag and squeezing it with this hand. This is your squeeze hand. You twist it and you give a squeeze and you go around. And here, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to put this around the base of this apple. And if you want a little more, do a little more. Why not? It's whipped cream. It's delicious. And it goes really, really, really good with twist and continue to squeeze. Okay, I'm going to put a little whipped cream up top because it's good there. And to finish this off, I'm going to take a strawberry fan. It's been sliced. Put it right here on the side. I'm going to open them up. There we go. Now, on this dish, I am going to also add some fresh thyme, just because it's really pretty, and I think it adds a lovely flavor and aroma to the apple. So just lay the sprigs right on there. And then for your sauce, we're going to take some of the sauce and just a little bit. We don't want a lot. We don't want to make soup on this. We just want to put a little bit over the top so that it drains out a little bit on the bottom. So it adds a little bit of that beautiful apple flavor, and it drains ever so slightly out on the plate. I'm going to do the second one because I know you got a friend. All right, just a little bit over the top. In there. It smells great. And here you have it, folks. Apple dumplings. Now, wouldn't you like to have a dessert like that? I think they're fabulous. I think this is one of my favorite desserts. It's pastry, it's a baked apple, it's whipped cream, and it's really delicious. This is a perfect thing to do for a fall buffet. It is a great thing. You can make them ahead of time, you could freeze them, you could bake them off. You could freeze them raw, and then you could bake them off when you're ready for them. So if you're doing a party, make them ahead of time. But no matter what you do, when you do them, make sure you make them because they are delicious. If you want to grab these recipes, you can get them off of our website at pbscharlotte.org, or you can send me an email at pamela.roberts, R-O-B-E-R-T-S, @cpcc.edu, and I will send you a link that has all of our recipes on our website so you don't have to go searching for it. Thank you for watching this episode of Charlotte Cooks, and I will catch you again next time.
A production of PBS Charlotte.